thank you for joining me. I'm outside Maidstone Magistrates Court at the moment. I'm joined by party leader Paul Golding and long-term Britain First activist Steve Lewis. I'm extremely pleased to report that we have just been into court. Our hearing is now over and we have been victorious. We came to court today to contest the ridiculously restrictive bail conditions that Kent Police slapped onto the three of us after they arrested us a couple of weeks ago. Now, the whole point of us contesting these bail conditions is because they literally sewed our mouth shut. We weren't allowed, as part of these conditions, we weren't allowed to tell you guys at home and watching why we'd been arrested. Well, thankfully, as I say, we've been victorious and the magistrates have just scrapped those conditions. So I can now tell you, because I wasn't even allowed to tell you what they were before, I wasn't allowed, and Paul wasn't allowed, and neither was Steve, to distribute any material in any form relating to a case of the Crown versus Muslim Yar and others. You may all be aware that this case was relating to 555 Pizza in Ramsgate. It's a fast food outlet in which a 16-year-old girl walked into this establishment to ask for directions. She was lost. The four men in this case, in this trial which is now concluded, have all been convicted of gang raping this child. 3 separate charges, 3 separate offences of rape each. These 4 men have raped this child 3 times each. It was absolutely horrific, this trial. The poor girl, the victim, spoke of how when she was thrown outside of the property after these men had finished with her, she was hysterical, she was screaming. The details of the trial were absolutely horrific. And we weren't allowed to tell you that these men have been convicted. These men are now convicted rapists. We weren't allowed to tell you that because Kent Police didn't want us to tell you that, and they tried their hardest today to make sure that we couldn't deliver this message to you. They were in court arguing the fact that we shouldn't be allowed to tell the people, the public who follow us, there's millions of you that follow us, that we couldn't tell you what's gone on. Well, I'm pleased to say now I'm free to tell you whatever I like. So is Paul, so is Steve. We will be putting out a full video later on to give you all of the details because it's such a complicated issue. But basically, we are now allowed to report, and as I've just said, this is why we were arrested. We were arrested because myself, in the video you've seen, attended certain addresses, attended Canterbury Crown Court, and attended this fast food outlet 555 Pizza to confront and report on this issue of this gang rape by these Muslim rapists. And what I can also say, we have been victorious today, those conditions have been lifted. There are 4 conditions that have remained, which is quite incredible really. 4 conditions relate specifically to addresses connected with the defendants who are all convicted rapists now. We're not allowed to go to those addresses, so they don't want us going to anywhere near them. But they're all been remanded into custody anyway, and hopefully they'll all be getting very, very, very long sentences for gang raping a young British girl of 16 years of age. So, a good day in court. What I can report at this stage is that we have learnt today 2 things. First of all, the Kent Police made a conscious decision to bail us back on the 3rd of June, knowing that we had a protest scheduled for that date. It was the Birmingham protest. We had to move it to the 24th of June. I hope you will all be there. That was just out of spite. There's no other reason for them to bail us back on a Saturday. We've learned today that in fact our bail back date has been moved to the 6th of July. They've extended it. The reason they've done that is because the police have now submitted the paperwork to the CPS to pursue the charges against myself, Paul Golding, Stephen Lewis, and they are pushing for the alleged offence of inciting religious hatred against these Muslim gang rapists who have all been convicted now of multiple counts of raping a young British girl. They are pushing for us to be charged and convicted for this offence that carries a custodial sentence of 7 years imprisonment. Our legal team have obviously given us advice. I can't go into the logistics of it at the moment because we are waiting for a formal decision from the CPS. But from today we have learned that the police mean business. They haven't decided, quite remarkably, that since these Muslim gang rapists have now been convicted, that they should drop these alleged charges against us. They haven't decided, actually, do you know what? All Britain First were doing was highlighting the fact that these men raped this young girl, repeatedly gang raped this young girl, and they were Muslim, and they were of Afghan origin. So what we pointed out has been proven to be factual. We knew throughout the trial there was certain evidence that had come to light. We were well aware of that. We can't report on certain issues while a trial is going on, but we were well aware of that. So instead of the police taking the decision that actually all we've done is expose Muslim rapists, they're still trying to pursue us for inciting religious hatred against those rapists. It absolutely beggars belief. They're trying to lock us up for 7 years for highlighting Muslim rapists. So that's where we are today. We have had a victory. We have learned that they are still continuing with this. And of course, as I said before, we will be putting out a full video later on to tell you just exactly what unravelled throughout this trial and throughout the saga that involves the three of us. But for today, a victory, and to all of you who have given messages of support. There's lots of you that have been posting on social media, Twitter, Facebook, emails. You've all been in contact. It's great to hear from you. And to those who have donated to our campaign, all I can say is that we actually need you now more than ever, because I have to admit, there was a possibility today when we were asking for these bail conditions to be lifted that the police could have said, you know what, actually no further action on all of it. We're not going to pursue Jayda, Paul and Steve on a ridiculous alleged offence of inciting racial hatred against 4 men who have gang raped a British child. We're not going to do that. But maybe we had a little bit too much faith in the police because they didn't take that decision. What they've decided is they are going to come after us more than ever now. So your donations more than ever are appreciated and needed. The campaign will be ongoing. We will have to answer bail on the 6th of July, and until that date we will be fundraising for our legal team, because we are going to need a very strong defence, all 3 of us. So thank you everybody so far. Please stay tuned, and we'll be in touch later. God bless.